Who doesn't love plant shopping and better yet getting plant bargains? So I've been on a bit of a plant holiday at a national event that we hold here in the UK. It happens once a year and it's a great place to get plant bargains and even some really specialist plants of all different varieties. So I'm going to show you exactly what I've bought, the prices that I've paid, as well as a lucky find. So this is one of the plants, and I'll touch on this in just a moment. This is from the event today, the BBC Gardeners World Live Show and Good Food Show. So it is a massive exhibition where you get sellers from across the country selling all sorts, from homewares, artisanal food and drink, plant nurseries selling really specialist plants and your everyday plants at great prices, event special prices, as well as more recently houseplants. So last year I managed to get some really great bargains. I've got a video on this that I did last year as well, so I'll link that at the end. If you want to check that out, you can check that out and see if some of the bargains are comparable with what I've got this year. And this is exactly why I wanted to go this year, to see what else was on offer. So if you want to learn something new and get some bargains, grow your houseplant collection for less, or even some homeware stuff, then it's a fantastic event to go to if you do live in the UK, or maybe check out what events are local to you if they do something similar in maybe your state or your country, depending on where you're from. So I'll run through the plants now and show you exactly what I've got, and you can tell me in the comments below if you think I should have gone back for any that I couldn't fit in my hands and get this time, or if they were comparable with the ones last year, if you do watch that video next. So as I said, this is the first plant. This is the Xanthosoma lindenii, or Caladium Lindenii. It goes by a couple of different names, and this is too big to fit in the shot. As you can see, I'm trying to hold it back so you can see the size of these leaves and the size of the plant. So these leaves are huge. If I just put my hand and even my arm, my whole arm, against that leaf, you can see how big it is and how tall it is. It's probably just short of 2 foot tall, but even wider spread out in a 14cm pot, and this was just £15. So I do have a smaller one of these that I've maybe touched on in a previous video, and that was I think £1 cheaper, so about £14 for a much smaller plant, and this one was £15 for a plant of this size with these massive leaves, lovely dark green with the bright white veining and detail on them, which will really brighten up wherever it goes in the houseplant collection. So I looked online, and these are between, the cheapest was 14 and they went up into about the 30s. So £15 I think is a really good bargain price for a Xanthosoma lindenii of this size. So I've gone for a smaller plant for a bit of contrast from the last one, and this is the Philodendron Scandins Meekins. And I love these because they have such mystical looking leaves with the almost a shimmer to them. So they've got a slight velvety texture with a shimmer on top, dark green on top, pink to red undersides that almost give it an amber to bronze colour, especially as the leaves develop. And this one has got, I think, 3 plants in the pot, all vining off as well. So even though it's in a tiny pot, which is part of the reason it was such a cheap price, I will pop this up quite soon and it should fill up a larger pot quite quickly as well. So this was only £5. You can get them in larger pots, maybe about a 12cm pot, for perhaps between £12 and £16, depending on where you're buying it from. So even though this one is in a much smaller pot, like I said, it will fill out one of those larger pots once I pot it up, and this was only £5. So I think that's a very reasonable price. And my last one, I did have one of these, but it actually died. So this is to add it back into the collection, and £5 is a great price to do that. So we'll stick with the smaller plants with this one, and then this will lead on to a larger plant in just a second. This is the Sansevieria Golden Harney. So the Harney variety of Sansevierias are a compact variety. As you can see, it's much smaller than your traditional Sansevierias, but it still has these very distinct pointed leaves, although these ones are maybe a little bit wider. This one is a really healthy one, lots of leaves fanning out from the centre, so a really sort of chunky plant, and it's even got a little offset on the way there. So this one, as you can see, has these nice light green leaves with this white cream variegation on it, hence the name Golden Harney. And there are other varieties of these available. You can get ones in plain green and other different sort of colour variations. This one was just £5, and when I looked online before the video to see how much I could have got it for if I was buying it elsewhere, between £7 and maybe £12. So I think £5 for this really healthy plant, and one with an offset so I can get a free plant from it when I propagate this too, was a really good plant bargain. So moving up in plant size, back to the larger plant, and this one is related to the last one, as I said it would be. This is another Sansevieria. Technically they've been reclassified as Dracaenas now, but I know them as Sansevierias, as I'm sure many of you do. So I'll keep referring to it as that. This is a Sansevieria Black Diamond, and as you can see from the colour of the leaves, that's likely where it gets its name from. These incredibly dark leaves, unlike other Sansevierias which often have a bright outline or even marks on the leaves, these ones are almost a solid colour, very, very dark green. They've just got a very, very slight outline of a lighter colour on the leaves, and this one's got a good set of leaves on it as well, possibly even an offset as well on the front of it, it looks like. So again, like the other one, when I pop this up, I can feel the pot is bulging, so it might need potting up shortly. I actually think there's another offset. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. I think there's another offset about to come up there because there's something pushing on the pot there. So potentially 2 or 3 plants in this pot. Once I pot it up, I can separate them out. This was £12 for this variety. Looking online, between £12 and £15, so not really a plant bargain as such, but still a good price on the lower end of the range, and a new type of Sansevieria to my collection. So this one is different to the ones that I've got, and again this will feature in a future video with the Harney and the other varieties I've got. So if you want to watch that, if you are interested in plant related videos, subscribe for future content and you'll be notified when that video is out. So this and the plants that were with this is why I was so tempted to go back and get more, the ones that I didn't have in my collection, because these ones were such an amazing price at what they were being sold for. So this is an Acacia Silver Dragon. This one has wonderful, as you can see, the really striking leaves with the distinctive markings, silver in colour with the sort of green, dark green, and lots of lovely leaves on this with new ones on the way. In about a 14cm pot, I think this is, and this was just £12. So with this, they also had the Caprea Red Secret and Black Velvet varieties, both for £12 as well, which I think is a fantastic price because you'd probably pay between 18 to mid-20s for those if you were buying them from a plant shop or garden centre. So £12, definitely a plant bargain, and why I was so tempted to go back and get the others. Do you think I should have gone back and got the others? Let me know in the comments below if you would have done the same. This one is definitely one of the better plant bargains, I think, in what I've bought today. Now this plant was quite popular at the event with multiple stall holders selling this, so it's really important to shop around as they were selling them for different prices. So I actually looked across all of the different stalls before I went back to this one. So this is a Philodendron varicosam insensite. As you can see, it's got these wonderful, large, maybe heart-shaped or arrow-shaped leaves with quite striking markings on, and really lovely colour differentiation between the top side and the bottom side of the leaf, with this pink to red undersides and furry or prickly stems, again with all that wonderful pink to red colour. This one was just £14 and other sellers were selling them up to £20, so glad I went back to get this one for £14. And this one has got quite a lot going on in the pot too, so it's a 14cm pot. There's maybe 3 different plants in there, and it's got new growth coming up, new leaf, and that's vining off on the way there, with more new growth coming up in the soil. So really great find with this one at £14. When I looked online, there were maybe $15.99 the cheapest, up to about £30. So a good plant saving with this one. So this next plant is one off the wish list, and it's a really striking plant. I'm hoping that you can see how striking these leaves are as they sort of shine in the light. They're incredibly dark, almost black, and very glossy. So this is the ZZ Raven, and this has been on my wish list for quite a while. You might have seen it on my wish list video where I asked you to share your wish list plants as well. So I've been after this for quite a while. I've been checking plant shops, checking online to see if it was on sale at a price that I was willing to pay for it and at a good size. So then I found this at the event, and this is a really good size as well, so it doesn't again fit in the shot. So I'll just hold it so you can see the main part of the plant with these wonderful striking leaves. This one was £18, and again, just like I said with the Philodendron varicosam about shopping around, other sellers were selling smaller varieties of these for about £30 or up to £30. So this at £18 for this really big one is a really good plant find, and it ticks it off the wish list. I've also noticed there is a little imposter on there as well. So there's a spider. If I bring it close, so you can see a little spider there in the middle of the plant. Not a pest, not a harmful spider either. They generally stay on the plants. I've noticed them come in on a couple of different plants before, so I'll leave them there because they might even help with pests. If I happen to get fungus gnats or anything like that, they might help and get rid of them for me. So I'll leave that on there, and we've got a new plant and a new pet at the same time. So now moving on to something a little bit more unusual before moving on to the lucky plant find, and these are Tillandsia or air plants. And I love these plants because they give you such a different visual appeal compared to your normal house plants, and they're incredibly versatile in how you can display them, because they don't need pots or soil, as the name suggests, air plants, so you can be really creative with what you do with them. I'll do a future video on plant styling air plants, maybe a care guide too, so if you'd like to see that, then maybe subscribe and you'll be notified when that video is out in the very near future. So I got these for £5 for £20, so £4 each. Given the size of them, they are actually a very good price compared to what you might buy them individually online for, as you often get smaller ones as well online for a similar price. So I didn't really buy these for the bargain purposes. either, not necessarily as plant bargains, just because I wanted to add that visual appeal to my own collection and also for making that future video. But I'm really pleased with paying £4 each for these. Anyway, so I've got this long spindly one, which is quite a large one, as you can see. This quite menacing spiky one as well, which is a darker colour. These wonderful pink to red spiky ones as well. And then this one, which just reminded me of a sea creature or an octopus with tentacles, which I think is just fascinating. So these will look really striking when they're amongst the other houseplants. I just need to figure out what I'm going to do with them and how I'm going to display them. Now this next one, I had to buy it as soon as I saw the size of it and the price that it was, and it's another one off the wish list. So I've had my eye on one of these for quite a while at a local garden centre, but they are selling them for over £100. They are slightly larger, but maybe not so large that they warrant the massive price increase compared to what I got this for. So this is an Asplenium nidus. I believe it's an Asplenium nidus, although it does have quite a specific name on the side. It looks like a standard Asplenium nidus or bird's nest fern, as you might recognise it, and it's really large. It's got all of these wonderful large light green fronds with the frilly edges and curling tips. It's about 2 feet tall and even wider across as it's going out of the camera shot. As you can see there, it's quite difficult to hold too. So this was only £20, so £20 for a bird's nest fern of this size. I snapped it up as soon as I saw it because there were only about 2 of these on the stall as well, so I'm really glad that I bought this. This one also came with an imposter, but unlike the spider that was on the last one, this one is a pest, so I do need to get rid of it. It doesn't look like it's damaged the leaf at all yet, so I will take it off after the video. And I only noticed this when I was actually starting to film the video. So this has a snail on it, so I'm not quite sure how that's got there, whether that's crawled on there when they've been loading the plants in the van for the event, or maybe it's been the plant's been outside when it's been at its retail store. So that snail needs to go, so I'll take it off and put it outside, maybe on some weeds. So he will survive, and then hopefully the plant will as well, because it won't get eaten by snails. So now moving on to the lucky plant find and a plant bargain in its own right, and I'll explain exactly why it's a lucky plant find in just a moment. So this is the Raindrop Pepperoni or Pepperomia polybotra, and as you can see it's got these wonderful drop shaped glossy green leaves, and these are huge leaves, so it's a very good sized plant, very mature or large sized leaves, and this was only £7. So if I was buying a standard Pepperomia polybotra online, I'd probably pay about £14 for a plant of this size. And this one has 3 plants in the pot, so I could separate these out if I wanted to, but there's 3 plants in the pot there. And when I was looking at this a little bit closer, I actually noticed on one of the plants that are in the pot, it's actually a variegated Raindrop Pepperomia. So if I bring that closer, you can see it's got that wonderful variegated leaf there with that patch of yellow to cream variegation. And when I was checking the leaves to see if it had any more, you can see it does have more leaves with that variegation on that plant. So that's an established variegation in that plant, which is fantastic. So I've got the 2 standard Raindrop Pepperomias and a variegated one in that one pot for £7. And this did actually get bashed around in transit a bit, so some of these leaves are unfortunately damaged. I'll probably try and propagate some of those, as they do propagate really easily, rather than waste them. One of those leaves that did fall off was a variegated one. If I bring that a little bit closer so you can see the extent of the variegation on that leaf is just fantastic. So hopefully if that will propagate, I'll try and propagate it rather than waste it, and hopefully get a plant from this maybe. But I've definitely got the variegated one in there as well. Looking online for the variegated ones, they're about £30 for a plant. I'm guessing a plant of this size, about £30. So I paid £7 for all 3 of those in the one pot. So lucky plant find, and definitely a plant bargain there as well. So what do you think of those plant finds, and do you think they were bargains for the prices that I paid for them? Do you think I should have gone back for some of those other Acacias that were just £12? Let me know in the comments below. If you like plant related content and projects, then I'll link my last video at the end. It's all about making your own plant support pile so you can help your plants grow to their full potential. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments below and I'll respond to everyone. And as always, thank you for watching Grow Your Wellbeing.